Welcome back, everybody, to the Cleveland Cavaliers MyLeague here on NBA2K21. As today we continue season number 1 here in the series. Also going to be doing our first prospect profiles of the series. Going to look at some of the players in this year's upcoming draft. But before that, I do want to take a look at where the team is currently. Currently, our Cavs are 15-17, not playing too badly. We played 2 games in the last episode, beating the Hornets by 5 and allowing 146 to Minnesota. That was not a fun game defensively. Here's a look at the numbers. Not a whole lot of big changes. I think the noticeable things being that Obi Toppin has played really well since being inserted into the starting lineup. And Kevin Love, coming off the bench, has actually played better himself. So I think that switch was actually good for both players. And I think that could help them both be a little bit more productive. And maybe that'll help Kevin Love's trade value just a little bit. So other than that, not really a whole lot new to talk about with these stats. So I have been working hard on the draft class. This is not a real draft class, by the way, so these aren't real prospects. These are either fake players or custom-made players by you guys. You can make players down in the Discord. I will leave the link in the description if you want to go ahead and make a player for the draft class. So we will be mainly looking at guards today. And first, I think it makes the most sense to start by evaluating what we currently have at the guard position. And right now, it's very weird. We have Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, who are both fairly similar players. Therefore, the fit is definitely a question mark. I think one of the big storylines in this season is to determine who do we want to build around, Darius Garland or Colin Sexton, because both probably isn't realistic. Garland has not taken the leaps I was hoping for. He has improved a lot as a passer, which is very good, but the scoring is lower. The efficiencies are atrocious, under 40% from the field, under 30% from 3. Looking at Sexton, his points per game is a little bit lower as well. However, he has improved as well as a passer, averaging around 5 assists per game. The efficiency has been very solid, shooting 54% from the field. The three-point percentage, yeah, that's the worst of his career, but I think Sexton has outperformed Darius Garland by a pretty decent margin, so he's definitely winning that battle, if you will. So let's take a look at some of the names we may be talking about. Obviously, we're not going to go over every player, but we're going to go over some of the standouts at each of these positions. We're mainly going to be looking at guys towards the top of the draft, since I do still think we are going to have a pretty high draft pick, even though we've been winning quite a bit of games this season. However, I do also want to look at some later round guys, players who we could potentially look at in the second round and try to develop to become serviceable players. There is a lot of talent at both guard positions. It's a very deep guard class, especially at the 2 guard. And I think the wing position in general is super deep in this class. And I do kind of want to add another wing. So I think we really have a good opportunity in this year's draft to do so. We're going to start at the point guard position, looking at Cassius Calvin out of Ohio State. Many scouts believe Cassius Calvin could be the number 1 overall pick in the draft. I think at the worst, he'll go towards the bottom part of the top 5. Calvin has elite size and length for the point guard position, as he stands at 6'7" with a 7-foot wingspan, and his size and athleticism leads him to a lot of versatility on the defensive end of the floor. He also has excellent court vision. He's a phenomenal playmaker, excellent passer. He does need to be a more consistent shooter, and he needs to be a little bit more consistent on defense, even though the talent is there. If Cassius Calvin can put the pieces together, he will be a superstar. The second projected point guard off the board after Calvin is NC State's Dante Henderson. Henderson is a very talented player. He stands at a very solid 6'3", 193, so he's not overly large, but he does have a 6'8" wingspan. So that helps with some good length, and he has a solid frame. He can guard 1s and 2s. He's a good scorer inside and out. He does need to improve as a passer and as a facilitator. That is a pretty big concern with me defensively, and he needs to get better. But other than that, Dante Henderson's a really, really good prospect. Let's take a look at some of the potential late-round gems at point guard, starting with Jarrett Butler out of UNC. Butler's probably going to be a late first, early second round pick, but I really like his upside. Stands at 6'5", but he does have a 6'11" wingspan. He has great athleticism, great size, and he's a really good distance shooter. He's shooting over 40% from 3. Granted, that's only in 7 games, but he has proven at the high school and so far the collegiate level, he can really shoot for rock. Other than his three-point shooting, his offense needs some work. Defensively, he obviously has the length to be a great defender, but he is fairly rough in that area. Another potential late-round gem in this class at point guard is Damon Quick out of Louisville. Quick is probably going to be an early to mid-second round selection, and I think that's insane value. Good size and athleticism, stands at 6'4" with a 6'7" wingspan. He is currently a sophomore at Louisville and has really shown a lot of strides from his freshman to sophomore season. He's a great jump shooter from the mid-range and the 3. He does need to improve a lot defensively, and he is rather inconsistent. And he just needs to get a better feel of running an offense as a facilitator. And if he does that, I think he'll be a really good value pick towards the middle or later part of this draft. The final point guard we're going to look at is another guy projected in the lottery, and that is Tremel Baxter out of Georgia. I think Cassius Calvin is in that tier 1 of point guards in this class, and then I think tier 2 is Dante Henderson and Tremel Baxter. He is also 6'4" with a 6'7" wingspan, has all the athletic tools, and is a phenomenal scorer. However, he's not a great playmaker, and he needs to be just a smarter player in general, especially with the ball in his hands. Let's take a look at these shooting guards now in this class. Starting out at the University of Kansas, it's Malik Greer. Greer is probably going to be a back-end lottery selection in that 10 to 15-ish range. He's a really, really good defender, and he has a phenomenal mid-range shot. However, he does need to improve as a three-point shooter. He needs to get a better feel for the game and does not provide a whole lot of value as a playmaker. However, the athletic upside is there, and I think he has the chance to be a special player. Now from the University of Auburn, another projected top 10 to 15-ish pick, and that is Bryce Lennox. 6'6" with a 6'11" wingspan. The length is off the charts. Defensively, this kid is special. Probably going to be an all-NBA defender very early into his career. He's extremely versatile. He can guard almost every position on the floor. And he has a good feel for the game and a lot better feel compared to most of the players in this class. He's not a great offensive player right now. However, if he improves on that side of the ball, he's going to be a monster. Let's take a look at a projected second-round shooting guard who I really like out of the University of Alabama, Romeo Laguancho. That's a very fun name. Laguancho is a really solid scorer. He gets most of his buckets in the paint. Not a great shooter yet, especially from 3. However, that's something that can be taught. You can't teach athleticism, but you can teach shooting. He plays big. He can bang down low inside. And I think his strength and hustle really entices me to try to get the Cavs to pick him in the second round. The final 2 players we're going to be looking at today are both potential top 5 picks, starting with Terry Tate out of the University of Texas. Tate is a phenomenal scorer from all 3 levels. He's also a good defender and can guard numerous positions. However, the efficiency can be inconsistent. He's not much of a playmaker. If he can just get consistent, he's going to be a star. Very high on Terry Tate. I think he should go in the top 5. And the final player we're going to look at from the University of Florida, another contender for the number 1 overall pick in this draft, and that is Malachi Everett. Everett is probably the best pure scorer in this draft. He can drive inside. Look at him posterizing that defender. Good from mid-range, good from deep. He's also a freak of nature, and his blend of scoring and athleticism is unbelievable. I believe he can truly change a franchise. However, defensively, he does need some work, and while I think he has the size and frame to do so, he's definitely going to need to be more polished there if he wants to really start his NBA career off strong. So that'll do it for Prospect Profile. We would do some more simulating, going 4-2 on our next 6 games, which now gives us a record of 19-19. I really don't know why this team is playing so well this season, but I think it's safe to say this Cleveland Cavaliers team is a very, very solid basketball team, as they have a tough matchup here against the 24-13 Denver Chicken Nuggets. Let's take a look at both lineups for each team today. Regular starters for the Cavs. No Kevin Love. He is out with a minor injury, so expect to see increased minutes from guys like Larry Nance off the bench. Let's start here in the first quarter. Nikola Jokic over to Jamal Murray for 3. One of the top young duos in the NBA. They would prove to be a problem early for this Cavs defense as Jamal Murray makes another layup. 11-8 your score. Murray now inside for the slam. And the Canada native has looked awfully impressive so far in this game. 16-8. Denver has just been clicking offensively as Gary Harris goes inside for the layup. And the former Michigan State Spartan will extend the lead to 10. Rough start for the Cavs, trying to rebound, no pun intended, because it's Andre Drummond there, getting the lob and getting the layup. 22-12 now, Jamal Murray going inside with the rack attack, has a defender right in his face, but that's not going to stop him. 14-24 now, here's Monte Morris at the rim, he's denied. Dante Exum says, get that out of here. And here comes Colin Sexton with the lob for Cedi Osman. Sexton is playing with a minor injury today, so that's certainly something to monitor as Jamal Murray gets the bucket. 22-28. Cleveland starting to play a little bit better as Colin Sexton going upstairs where Grandma hides the cookies. 24-28 now. Cleveland making this score look a lot closer as Monte Morris misses the layup. Kleber with the rebound. He's going to pass it out for Mason Plumlee. The big man saying, hey, I can shoot too. Plumlee knocks down the tray ball. And speaking of Plumlee, he sent that basketball out of the country, denying Colin Sexton. What a block. 26-35, nearing the end of the first quarter. It's Will Barton, denied at the rim by Cedi Osman. Here's Colin Sexton. He connects with the open slam. 28-35. Denver going to go for a last-second shot. It's Barton who pulls up from 3. He is no good, and that'll do it for the first quarter. A lot of offense so far in this one. The Denver Nuggets lead at 35-28. Hey, it's a football score. On to the second quarter now. Quick 3-ball for the rookie out of Dayton. It is Obi Toppin. 31-37. Torrey Craig passes it out for Jeremy Grant. Grant, a hot commodity in this offseason, decided to re-sign with the Denver Nuggets as they try to gear up for their championship run. There's Garland from deep, 45-44. The Cavs are only down by 1. Jamal Murray misses the 3. Good defense by Cleveland. Excellent cross-court pass as Garland for the and 1, and he connects. Darius Garland with the bucket, and the Cavs now lead it. That was short-lived as it is now 53-58 late here in the first half. And the Cavs missing a few shots inside. However, third time's the charm. Cedi Osman with the bucket. Osman has looked quite good in this game, currently with 8 points here in the first half. As here is Nikola Jokic for 3. The Joker out of Serbia making the play. 57-61. There's Jamal Murray with the and 1. Quite the dominant first half Murray has had. That was Colin Sexton with the foul. So now it's 57-65. Sexton going to go for a last-second shot before halftime. And he connects. Colin Sexton with 0.8 seconds left on the clock. Barton's just going to dribble out the clock. And that'll do it for the first half. We've got ourselves a very entertaining game. Currently, the Denver Nuggets lead it by a score of 65-59. Denver's offense has looked really good, led by a dominant showing from Jamal Murray. The big fella, Nikola Jokic, has also played very well in this one. Murray leads the Nuggets with 20 points here in this one. Colin Sexton, meanwhile, with 14 as we advance to the second half. It was a quiet first half for Kevin Porter Jr., but he's going to try to turn the ship, making the 3. And then just a couple minutes later, Porter on the fast break with the slamma-jamma. Take a look at that dunk again. Quite the slam right there by KPJ as it's 66-74 in favor of the Nuggets. Nice layup by Darius Garland, cutting the lead to 6. Now 72-78. It's been a pretty back-and-forth third quarter for the most part. Both teams are trading baskets as Osman with the steal and the lob for Larry Nance. That one's going on Sports Center. Larry Nance in the Mile High City. Looked like he nearly jumped a mile in the air as that shot by Garland is blocked at the rim by Mason Plumlee. Jamal Murray inside for the layup. Denver leads it by 8. Now a 10-point lead. There's Cedi Osman with the slam. 82-86. Cavs only down by 4 now with around 16 seconds to play in the quarter. There's Mason Plumlee slamming it down on Larry Nance. 82-88. Cavs have to inbound it with around 2 seconds left in the quarter as Cedi Osman's shot is off the mark. That'll do it for the third quarter, and this is a close one. 88-82 Nuggets lead, and the Cavs are really hanging tough on the road against one of the top teams in the association as we move to the fourth. There's Obi Toppin with the slam, 84-90. Plumlee loses it. Darius Garland with the steal. 3-on-1 opportunity, and Garland's going to keep it himself for the layup. Darius Garland now with 16-9. He has looked very impressive in this game. Denver up by 4. Jokic, tough shot over Drummond, and it does not even hit the rim. Excellent defense by Dre. And then Sexton inside with the one-handed powerful slam. Sexton's first bucket of the second half. Speaking of nice plays inside, there's Michael Porter Jr. with the layup. 98-90. Kevin Porter Jr. over to Andre Drummond with the slam. I can't be the only one who's realized that every player in the NBA whose last name is Porter, it's actually Porter Jr. Kevin Porter Jr., Michael Porter Jr., Otto Porter Jr. All the Porters are juniors, as there's Kevin Porter Jr. for 3. 99-108 with about 3 minutes to go. Cavs are hanging in there, but whenever one team scores, the other follows suit. There's a nice rebound by Andre Drummond. It looked like he immediately dunked that, but he's going to have to settle for the layup instead. Excellent defense there by the Cavs. I'm just kidding. That was horrendous. Jamal Murray with the layup, and then Nikola Jokic with the slam. 103-114. Cavs need a few quick baskets as Darius Garland just pummels into the paint, getting the slam, and then Kevin Porter Jr. with the and one. He would unfortunately miss the free throw as it's 116-107, sorry. There's Drummond with the slam. Now around 30 seconds left. Cleveland needs kind of the big comeback, down by 7. Quickly passing it around. There's Kevin Porter Jr. for 3. 15 points in the second half for KPJ. After a pair of Nuggets free throws, it's now 114-120. Obi Toppin heaves up the 3. It's no good. And at this point, that's pretty much how this game would end as Monte Morris dribbles out the clock. And the Denver Nuggets win it. 122-114. You got to give Cleveland credit. They kept this game close from start to finish and really played well against one of the top teams in the NBA in this Denver Nuggets squad. The Nuggets were led by their dominant duo of Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. Both of them were very good in this game. Jokic with 28, 8, and 4. Jamal Murray scored like 18 points in the first quarter. He was all right after that, but he did most of his damage at the beginning of the game, finishing with 34 points and 6 assists on very good efficiency. Michael Porter Jr., Gary Harris, and Will Barton also in the double figures. Denver shot the ball well, especially in the first half. 65 points in half number 1, only 57 in the second half. I guess that's not only, because 57 is still a respectable amount of points. Meanwhile, for Cleveland, there wasn't one man leading the show. However, 6 players in the double figures today: Sexton, Porter, Garland, Toppin, Drummond, and Osman. Darius Garland was probably the player of the game for us, 18 points and 14 assists. Sexton was the one who led the team in scoring with 20. So that'll do it for today's episode. Let me know what you thought of the prospect profiles. Constructive criticism is always appreciated. Do you want to see more for the other wings and big men? Let me know in the comments below. Have a good day. Stay safe. I'm out. Deuces.